My name is Isabella Reed. I am 25 years old. I was pulling a double shift as a paramedic in Milwaukee when the call came in a frantic report of a house fire with people trapped inside, screams echoing through the neighborhood. My heart dropped when I recognized the address. It was my parents' modest two-story home in the Bayview area, where I'd grown up feeling like the invisible daughter. As our ambulance screeched to a halt, I burst through the splintered front door with my team, only to hear my mom's voice from upstairs, sharp and accusatory, even in panic. Isabella, what the hell are you doing here? You're always ruining everything. The smoke alarm was blaring, but there were no flames, just the acrid scent of confusion hanging in the air. My mom's words hit me like a slap, even as I rushed up the stairs, my boots pounding on the familiar creaky steps. In that moment, finding her naked and literally stuck to my older sister's husband, Cody, in my parents' bed, it all clicked: the favoritism, the secrets, the way she'd always treated me like I was the problem in our family. Have you ever walked into a nightmare that explained every hurt from your childhood? If you've had a mom who made you feel like second best, drop a comment below. Where are you watching from? It wasn't always this explosive, but the tension with my mom had been building my whole life. Growing up in Milwaukee, our family looked picture perfect from the outside. My dad, Paul, working long hours as a mechanic at a local auto shop fixing cars for folks in the neighborhood. My mom, Janet, staying home to raise me and my older sister, Taylor. But inside those walls, it was clear from early on who the golden child was. Taylor, 5 years older than me, could do no wrong in my mom's eyes. If Taylor got an A on a test, it was because she was brilliant. If I did, it was luck. Or because the teacher was easy. My mom would parade Taylor's artwork on the fridge, but mine got tucked away in a drawer. Taylor's got real talent, she'd say dismissively when I'd show her my drawings from elementary school art class. You should focus on something practical, Isabella. You're not the creative type. Those little digs added up over the years. By the time I was in middle school, I was doing most of the chores around the house while Taylor got to hang out with friends or practice for her cheerleading squad. My mom would snap at me if dinner wasn't ready when my dad got home, even though I was the one scrubbing pots after school. Why can't you be more like your sister? She'd hiss, her voice low so my dad wouldn't hear from the living room. Taylor helps without being asked. She's thoughtful that way. My dad tried to balance it sometimes, slipping me extra allowance or taking me fishing on Lake Michigan on weekends, but he was too tired from work to push back against my mom. He'd just sigh and say, "Your mother's under a lot of stress, kiddo. Try to understand." But how do you understand being the lesser daughter? It made me withdraw, burying myself in books and schoolwork, dreaming of a life where I didn't have to prove my worth every day. High school was more of the same, but the favoritism got sharper, more public. Taylor was the prom queen, the one with the boyfriend everyone envied, while I was the quiet girl in the back of the class acing tests, but never getting the spotlight. At family gatherings like our annual backyard barbecues for the 4th of July, my mom would gush over Taylor's latest achievement, like landing a spot on the varsity team while brushing off my straight A report card. "Oh, Isabella did well too," she'd say with a wave of her hand, but her eyes would linger on Taylor, beaming with pride. Once, when I won a state science fair award, my mom actually rolled her eyes during the ceremony, muttering under her breath, "It's just a ribbon." Taylor's cheer trophy took real effort. That night, I cried in my room, wondering why my own mother seemed to resent me so much. Was it because I looked more like my dad with his dark hair and quiet demeanor while Taylor had her blonde curls and outgoing charm? Or maybe because I didn't need her approval as desperately as Taylor did? Whatever it was, it fueled a deep-seated dislike that she never hid well. After high school, Taylor went to community college for a bit before dropping out to find herself, which my mom spun as a brave choice. Me, I busted my butt to get certified as a paramedic, working part-time jobs to pay for classes at Milwaukee Area Technical College. It was grueling long nights studying anatomy while responding to mock emergencies, but it gave me purpose, a way to help people without relying on my family. My mom, of course, downplayed it. Paramedic? That's dirty work, Isabella. Taylor's thinking about starting a boutique, something classy. When I graduated, my dad threw me a small party in our backyard, grilling burgers and inviting a few neighbors. My mom showed up late complaining about traffic and spent the evening talking about Taylor's new job at a retail store downtown. It stung, but I was used to it by then. I moved into a tiny apartment in Walker's Point, a trendy neighborhood in Milwaukee, to start my independence. Little did I know the real family drama was just brewing beneath the surface. Things escalated when Taylor married Cody Vaughn about 3 years ago. Cody was a 32-year-old landscaper with his own small business, charming everyone with his easy smile and stories about growing up in rural Wisconsin. My mom adored him from the start. Finally, someone who appreciates family. She'd say, shooting me a pointed look as if I didn't. Taylor and Cody's wedding was a big affair at a lakeside venue near Milwaukee, and my mom spared no expense dipping into savings she'd never touched for me. I was the maid of honor, but my mom micromanaged every detail, criticizing my speech as too serious while praising Taylor's vows. After the honeymoon, Cody started coming around our parents' house more often, offering to fix the yard or trim the hedges for free. My dad appreciated the help, especially since his back was starting to give out from years at the shop. But my mom? She lit up around Cody in a way that made my stomach twist, flirtatious laughs, lingering touches on his arm. "You're so handy, Cody," she'd coo, ignoring how it made Taylor beam with pride. I brushed it off at first, but deep down, it felt off. As time went on, my mom's favoritism toward Taylor and, by extension, Cody became more financial. Taylor had always been the one who needed help, alone for her car money, for clothes, even rent when she and Cody hit a rough patch in his business. My mom would demand I contribute too, guilting me over the phone. "Isabella, your sister's struggling. Can't you spare a few hundred from your paycheck after all I've done for you?" I'd remind her that I was barely making ends meet on my paramedic salary, covering student loans and rent, but she'd snap back, "Taylor never complains like you do. She's grateful." It hurt especially when I'd see Cody's truck parked at my parents' house on days when Taylor was at work. "Just helping with the garden," my mom would say dismissively if I asked. My dad started acting strange too, more tired, complaining of headaches, but my mom waved it off as old age. She seemed distant from him, more focused on Taylor's life. I visited less, throwing myself into work, responding to calls across Milwaukee, from car accidents on I-94 to overdoses in the Third Ward. But the unease grew like a knot in my gut I couldn't ignore. The inciting incident hit about 6 months ago during one of my rare visits home. I'd stopped by after a shift to check on my dad, who looked paler than usual. My mom was out running errands, and my dad asked me to grab his reading glasses from their bedroom dresser. As I rummaged through the drawer full of my mom's neatly folded nightgowns, my fingers brushed something unfamiliar, a tube of high-end personal lubricant still in its packaging. It stopped me cold. My parents hadn't been intimate in years, from what I'd overheard in hushed arguments growing up. Why hide this, and why now? I put it back, heart racing, but the suspicion lingered. That night, as I drove back to my apartment, I replayed the odd moments, Cody's frequent visits. My mom's flushed cheeks when he was around, the way she'd belittle me more sharply lately, as if I was in the way. "Stay out of family business, Isabella, you're always meddling," she'd said last week when I asked about Dad's health. It was like she saw me as a threat, someone who might uncover whatever she was hiding. The next few weeks, I couldn't shake it. My mom grew colder during our phone calls, demanding money for Taylor's business idea, while dismissing my concerns about Dad. "He's fine, stop exaggerating like you always do." She'd snap, her voice laced with that familiar contempt. I started noticing Cody's truck parked discreetly down the street from my parents' house on afternoons when I knew Taylor was working her retail shift. One day, I swung by unannounced after my own shift ended early due to a quiet day at the station. Walking quietly through the back door using the spare key, I heard voices from the kitchen. My mom's giggle light and flirtatious, followed by Cody's low chuckle. "You're terrible," she said, echoing something intimate. When I stepped in, my mom jumped back from where she was leaning too close to him, her face flushing. "Isabella, what are you doing here uninvited?" She barked, her eyes narrowing in accusation. Cody just smiled smoothly, holding a coffee mug. "Just checking the sprinkler system, Bella, your lawn's looking dry." It was plausible, but the air crackled with tension, and the look they exchanged screamed secrets. That evening, my mom was overly nice, making my favorite lasagna when I stayed for dinner, but it felt forced, like she was covering. My dad ate quietly, complaining of another headache, while my mom fussed over him superficially. Later, as I helped clear plates, she pulled me aside. "Don't go snooping around, Isabella. You've always been too nosy for your own good." Her words dripped with disdain, as if my presence alone offended her. It was the push I needed. I couldn't ignore it anymore. Drawing on my paramedic training, where we learned to spot signs of abuse or foul play, I decided to get proof. The following Monday, I bought a small voice-activated digital recorder from an electronics store in downtown Milwaukee, paying cash. I told my mom I'd be working late that week, but really, I planned to plant it during a quick visit. Slipping into the house while she was supposedly at yoga, I hid the device behind the living room bookshelf among old photo albums of Taylor's achievements. My hands shook. Spying on my own family felt wrong, but my mom's growing hostility made it necessary. When she came downstairs dressed up in a way she hadn't in years, makeup a nice dress, she startled. "Isabella, you're early." Her tone was sharp, accusatory. "Just dropping off Dad's meds." I lied, noting her perfume. "You look nice going out." She blushed. "Just meeting friends. Don't wait up." As I left, Cody's truck pulled up minutes later. I parked around the block, watching him enter like he owned the place. The next day, retrieving the recorder while she was out, I listened in my apartment earbuds and dreading what I'd hear. At first, small talk, my mom's complaints about my dad's long hours at the shop, Cody's landscaping woes. Then it turned dark. "Did you check the insurance?" Cody asked. "Yes," my mom replied, her voice dreamy. "It's $350,000 and I'm the beneficiary." My blood froze. "And he doesn't suspect?" "Paul's clueless, thinks it's just age. No idea about the pills I switched." I paused, the recording nausea rising. Pills. My dad didn't have high blood pressure, but lately he'd been taking something my mom insisted on for stress. Playing again. "These fakes will ramp up his pressure slowly, natural heart attack in a few months," Cody said. "Then we get the money, help Taylor with her debts, and disappear to somewhere warm like Florida." My mom laughed. "Taylor deserves it, she's the good one. Not like Isabella, always judging." The casual way she dismissed me plotting to kill my dad for money shattered everything. They weren't just cheating, they were murderers, and my mom's hatred for me was woven into it all. I sat there, tears streaming, realizing how deep her resentment ran. She'd always seen me as the obstacle, the daughter who didn't adore her blindly like Taylor did. Now she was willing to orphan us both for cash and a fling. But they'd underestimated me. As a paramedic, I'd seen enough tragedy to know I had to act. First, I flushed my dad's pills when I visited next, replacing them with harmless vitamins from the pharmacy. "Mom gave me these," he said confusedly. "She cares in her way." I hugged him tight, vowing to protect him. Then I tailed Cody, discovering his real game, seducing older wealthy women around Milwaukee, from Bayview widows to Shorewood divorcees, extracting money and worming into wills. My mom was just his biggest mark, with Dad's insurance as the prize. Confronting her directly would be useless. She'd gaslight me, call me dramatic like always. No, I needed to expose them publicly, make her face the consequences of her contempt. Drawing on supplies from work, and my knowledge of adhesives from training courses, I hatched a plan. They'd used intimacy as a cover. I'd turn it against them. After discovering their plot, things only spiraled further out of control, with my mom's resentment toward me boiling over in ways that left me questioning if she'd ever seen me as her daughter at all. She started calling me more frequently, her voice laced with that familiar disdain demanding I come over to help with Dad, while really using it as an excuse to pry into my life and belittle my choices. One afternoon, about a week after I'd flushed Dad's pills, I got a call from her while I was between shifts at the station. Isabella, get over here now. Your father's not feeling well, and it's your fault for stressing him out with your constant questions. She barked before I could even say hello. Her accusation hit hard, initiating the guilt trip right from the start, as if my concern was the problem, not whatever she was hiding. I rushed over to the house in Bayview, my uniform still on, only to find Dad resting on the couch with a mild headache. Nothing urgent. My mom was pacing the living room, her eyes narrowing when she saw me. Look at you, always playing the hero in that grubby outfit. Paramedic work is beneath you, but you insist on it to spite me. Cody was there too, lounging in Dad's favorite chair like he belonged, smirking as my mom continued her tirade. Taylor's got real ambition starting that online boutique, but you're just wasting your potential. It was classic, her starting the attack, making me feel small while Cody piled on with a casual, "Yeah, Bella, you could do better." Dad tried to intervene weakly. "Janet, ease up." But she shot him a glare that silenced him, her contempt for me spilling over into impatience with anyone who defended me. That visit turned into a full-blown interrogation. My mom cornered me in the kitchen while I made Dad some tea, her voice low and venomous. "Why are you always snooping around here? You think you're better than us, don't you, with your independent life and your judgments?" She poked at my arm hard enough to leave a mark, emphasizing how much she resented my distance from the family dynamic she'd built around Taylor. "Taylor calls every day, helps without asking, but you're selfish. Isabella always have been." I bit back tears, reminding her I'd just come from saving a kid in a car wreck on the freeway, but she waved it off. "Excuses. If you cared, you'd contribute more, like money for Taylor's business. She's family, not like you, always putting yourself first." Cody wandered in, then echoing her demand. "Come on, Bella, spot us $1,000. Business is slow." But it was my mom's push that made it clear she saw me as a resource to exploit, just like she was using Dad, her dislike fueling every word. I left that day exhausted, my health starting to suffer, migraines from the stress, skipping meals because the knot in my stomach wouldn't loosen. The pressure mounted over the next month. My mom's calls became relentless, always starting with her sharp criticisms before escalating to demands. "Isabella, your sister's marriage is struggling because of money. Why can't you help like a real daughter would?" She'd say, her voice dripping with accusation, as if my refusal proved I was the flawed one. She'd text me photos of Taylor's boutique setups, cheap jewelry displays in their apartment, guilting me about not supporting it. Meanwhile, Dad's headaches worsened. He missed work shifts, looking gaunt, but my mom dismissed my suggestions to see a doctor. "He's fine, stop overreacting. You're just trying to make me look bad." Her hatred shone through in those moments, sidelining me while favoring Taylor, who started showing up with Cody for family meetings that excluded me until the last minute. At one such gathering, a casual afternoon in the backyard, not a dinner, my mom opened with, "Isabella, sit down and listen for once without your attitude." She announced Taylor and Cody needed a loan for his landscaping truck repairs, staring me down expectantly. "We've given so much to you, time to give back." Cody added details about the costs, but Taylor just nodded, letting Mom lead the charge. I refused, citing my own bills, and my mom exploded. "See, ungrateful, just like I always said. Taylor would never say no to family." Dad stayed quiet, rubbing his temples while the argument left me shaking, my relationship with my boyfriend at the time fraying because I was too drained to be present. Work suffered too. I botched a simple IV insertion during a call to a nursing home in Shorewood, my mind replaying my mom's latest voicemail. "You're a disappointment, Isabella. Taylor's the one who makes me proud." The patient was fine, but my supervisor pulled me aside, noticing my distraction. "Everything okay at home?" I lied, said yes, but inside the toll was real anxiety attacks in my apartment therapy sessions. I started secretly to unpack why my own mother seemed to loathe me so deeply. It stemmed from childhood. I realized her projecting her own unmet dreams onto Taylor, resenting me for not fitting the mold for being independent when she wanted control. But discovering the affair and plot amplified it. She treated me like an enemy who might expose her. One night, after a grueling shift saving a heart attack victim, ironic given their plan for Dad, I confronted her over the phone. "Mom, Dad's not well. Let me take him to the doctor." She initiated the shutdown. "Mind your own business, Isabella. You've never cared about this family like Taylor does." Click. Hang up. It was her starting every conflict, her words cutting first, leaving me isolated. The escalation peaked during a holiday gathering at Taylor's small apartment in the East Side neighborhood. Thanksgiving, but not a formal dinner, just snacks and football on TV. My mom had insisted I come, but from the moment I walked in, she lit into me. "Isabella, you're late, always unreliable," she said loudly, drawing everyone's eyes, her contempt on full display. Cody was there too, cozy on the couch next to her, while Taylor fussed in the kitchen. The conversation turned to finances quickly, my mom steering it. "We need to discuss helping Taylor and Cody. Isabella, you make good money as a paramedic. Time to pitch in $2,000 for their new venture." Her demand was pointed, laced with shame. "Don't be selfish. Taylor's always been there for you, even if you don't deserve it." I pushed back, mentioning Dad's health, and she snapped. "Stop using your father as an excuse. You're just jealous of your sister." Cody chimed in. "Yeah, loosen up, Bella." But Taylor stayed silent, letting Mom humiliate me in front of them. Dad looked uncomfortable, excusing himself early, his pallor worrying me more. I left in tears, the public dressing down affecting my confidence at work. I hesitated on a call the next day, second-guessing a diagnosis because her voice echoed in my head, calling me incompetent. Therapy helped me see the pattern. My mom's deep-seated dislike made her the architect of every family rift, using Taylor as her shield and me as the scapegoat. But the breaking point came when I overheard another snippet from a second recorder I'd planted, this time in the kitchen, during one of Cody's visits. My mom's voice first. "Isabella's onto something. She's always been a problem, prying like that. We need to speed up the plan before she ruins everything." Cody agreed, but it was her pushing. "Double the dose on Paul's pills. Then the insurance money can fix Taylor's life." Hearing her initiate the acceleration of Dad's murder plot, her hatred for me woven in as motivation flipped a switch. I couldn't let her control or hurt us anymore. I'd choose myself and Dad over her toxic expectations. That night, I finalized my revenge expose, their affair and crimes, in the most humiliating way, using my paramedic access to rig a trap they'd never see coming. The plan was simple, but devastating, born from my knowledge of industrial adhesives we'd used in training for emergency seals. They'd meet at my parents' house Tuesdays when Dad worked late. Really, my mom sending him on errands. I gathered supplies, superglue from a hardware store in Milwaukee's Third Ward, mimicking the lubricant's consistency. A Bluetooth speaker for distress sounds. A remote smoke detector trigger from an electronics kit. Testing it in my apartment, I imagined the chaos, neighbors gathering, my team responding. But the key was swapping that tube. Tuesday came. I called Mom, feigning concern. "I'll be late, double shift." Her relief was palpable. "Good, stay out." I parked blocks away, watching Cody arrive. Sneaking in the back, I heard them upstairs, my mom's flirtatious laugh starting the intimacy. In her drawer, I emptied the lubricant, refilled with glue, clear, odorless. Positioned the speaker and detector, then slipped out. From my car, I waited, heart pounding. At 5, muffled voices turned panicked. "What the hell, we're stuck!" My mom screamed first, her voice initiating the horror. "This is your fault, Cody, fix it." Their struggles escalated to yells. It was time. I triggered the alarm, and speaker shrieks of "Fire help!" blared. Neighbors emerged, sirens wailed. My unit rolled up. I jumped out, leading the charge, knowing what awaited upstairs. My unit rolled up to my parents' house in Bayview. Sirens blaring, lights flashing against the quiet suburban street. Neighbors were already clustering on the lawn phones out, murmuring about the screams and alarm. As the paramedic supervisor on shift, I led my team inside, my heart hammering, not just from the call, but from knowing exactly what or who was causing the panic upstairs. Captain Ellis from the fire department followed close behind, axe in hand, ready to force entry if needed. But the door was unlocked, and as we pushed through, the smoke detector's wail pierced everything, though there was no actual smoke. "Tampa Fire Rescue call out." I shouted, my voice steady from years of training, even as my mind reeled. From the master bedroom came my mom's frantic yell. "First, up here, help us, something's wrong." Her tone was demanding, accusatory, like even in crisis she blamed the world or me for her mess. We took the stairs two at a time, my boots echoing on the wood I'd run up as a kid. Captain Ellis knocked hard on the bedroom door. "Milwaukee Fire Rescue, are you injured?" Inside, Cody's voice strained back. "Yes, medical emergency, we can't separate." I turned the knob, pushing open the door to a scene that would haunt family gatherings forever. There they were, my mom and Cody, naked under a tangled sheet, faces twisted in pain and horror, physically bonded where the superglue had done its job. My mom's eyes locked on mine first, widening in shock before narrowing in fury. "Isabella, you did this, didn't you? Always interfering, you worthless girl." Her words lashed out, immediately initiating the blame, even as she writhed in discomfort, her deep contempt for me spilling out before any explanation. Cody tried to shift, wincing, but added weakly, "Bella, please help us." Taylor wasn't there, thank God, but the betrayal hit like a physical blow. This was my mom's doing, her affair with my sister's husband, her plot to kill Dad, all rooted in her resentment of me as the problem daughter. My training kicked in, overriding the nausea. "We need acetone and adhesive removers from the Rigstat." I radioed down, stepping forward mechanically. The room smelled of perfume and panic candles flickering on the nightstand from their romantic setup. Captain Ellis peered over my shoulder, his face going slack. "What the? This is no fire, medical only." He backed out to clear the neighbors, but word was already spreading outside. My mom kept ranting, her voice sharp and leading the attack. "This is your fault, Isabella. You've always hated me, jealous of Taylor and what we have." Even stuck, she couldn't stop belittling me, her hatred fueling the scene, as Cody echoed her weakly, "Yeah, call it off, Bella." I ignored them, focusing on the procedure. I'd handled industrial glue accidents before, like factory workers bonded to machinery. My team brought up the supplies, and I worked with cold precision, applying solvents to dissolve the bond. It took 20 agonizing minutes, their winces and cries filling the room, but finally they separated with raw, irritated skin. "You'll need observation at the hospital," I said flatly, avoiding my mom's glare. As we stretchered them out separately, the neighborhood watched, whispers turning to gasps. "Janet Reed, with her son-in-law." Mrs. Larson from next door called out. The public humiliation was complete, just as I'd planned. The fallout hit like a Milwaukee blizzard, swift and unrelenting. As we loaded them into ambulances for Milwaukee General, more neighbors gathered, phones recording. Word spread fast in Bayview. By evening, social media buzzed with the scandal. Taylor arrived at the hospital an hour later, summoned by a frantic call from Cody. She burst into the waiting room where I sat with Dad, whom I'd picked up from work to keep safe. "What happened? Is everyone okay?" Her face crumpled when I explained gently, without details at first, the affair, the glue, accident. But my mom from her room initiated the spin. "Taylor, honey, Isabella set this up. She's always been vindictive." Even hospitalized, she tried to turn Taylor against me, her contempt driving the wedge. Taylor confronted her tears, streaming, "Mom, how could you?" With my husband Cody in the next room babbled excuses, but the damage was done. I handed over the recordings anonymously to the police that night. Evidence of the murder plot, the switched pills. Detectives arrived by morning, arresting both for conspiracy to commit murder and fraud. My mom's eyes blazed at me through the glass. "You'll pay for this. Isabella, you've ruined everything because you couldn't stand being second best." Cody's con unraveled next. With the publicity, his other victims came forward, four older women from Milwaukee suburbs like Wauwatosa and Whitefish Bay, whom he'd seduced and defrauded of over $100,000 combined. One Mrs. Evelyn Hayes showed up at the hospital confronting him. "You took 25,000 from me, promised a future." Taylor, hearing it all, filed for divorce that week. The betrayal too deep. My mom faced charges too accessory to fraud since she'd known about Cody's schemes and used family money to fund them. The insurance plot sealed it. She got 5 years probation house arrest and lost everything in the divorce Dad filed. "Janet, you've poisoned this family long enough," he told her in court, his voice firm for the first time. The house sold for $200,000, split fairly, but Mom ended up in a rundown apartment in the South Side, isolated, her reputation trashed. Neighbors shunned her. Even Taylor distanced herself, saying, "Mom, you started all this? Your hate for Isabella blinded you." Cody got 15 years for fraud and conspiracy. His landscaping business seized assets going to victims. Taylor lost her boutique dreams, but it forced her to rebuild honestly, getting a steady job at a downtown cafe. For me, the consequences were liberating. Dad moved in with me temporarily into my Walker's Point apartment, where I nursed him back to health. No more fake pills, just real checkups showing early hypertension, treatable now. "I should have seen how she treated you, kiddo," he admitted one night over pizza. "She always resented you for being strong, not needing her like Taylor did." Therapy helped us both unpack it, sessions twice a week, where I processed her lifelong dislike, how it made me doubt my worth. Work improved. I got promoted to lead paramedic, my focus sharper without the family drain. I started dating again, a kind firefighter named Ethan who understood the scars. Taylor and I rebuilt slowly, coffee meetups where she'd apologize. Mom pitted us against each other. I see that now. We became closer, chosen sisters without Mom's toxic influence. I set firm boundaries, no contact with Mom, blocking her calls filled with blame. "You're dead to me, Isabella. You were always the mistake." Her last message read, but it didn't hurt anymore. I'd chosen myself, stopping her control. Life now is peaceful walks along Lake Michigan with Dad, shift saving lives, evenings with Ethan. I learned family isn't blood. It's who respects you. Love means boundaries, not enduring abuse. I won't let my mom or that side hurt me again. What would you do if your mom plotted against you like this? Share in the comments, have you cut off toxic family?